Well, welcome to episode of Sittin Courtside. Today is Friday, the last day of February. Can't believe it's already here, February 28th. And wouldn't you know it, the committee watches our show because we bullied them out of putting out a brand new top 16.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to definitely start there. Just wanted to apologize because I referenced it about 100 times last pod that there would be a new ranking. I did not realize that they didn't put it out each week. Did you know that?
I had no idea. I think we bullied them. I think they're a
Uh,
listener of the show.
I like looked up on Sunday. I was like, man, I didn't get an alert or anything all Saturday about the top
What
16. So
I'm actually kind of, how's this going to work now? Are they doing like an every other week? Or is it just like, you know what, guys? We'll give you one, but
I
that's as
don't know.
many as you get.
Yeah,
Like,
I really don't know. I couldn't find like a listing or anything, so I really have no
like
idea.
the timing couldn't be more awkward because if they do it this
Mhm.
weekend, the next
Yep.
time you would do it would be like what actual like selection Sunday.
Selection Sunday, yeah.
So it's like I don't even care.
So
Like,
why would you only do it twice? It makes no sense.
yeah, I don't get it. Do you think maybe they
Yeah.
did forget?
Yeah, I think maybe. I think that's more likely the case than just only doing it twice. So, but yeah, apologies for that. Did reference it a bunch last week, but all right. So we have a pretty extensive list of stuff to get through today. So it's going to be a quicker recap. Then we're going to give you guys our one and two seeds right now. Then talk about a cool new segment about who we think might make the Sweet 16 that is not atop the leaderboard currently in the rankings, and then of course picks. So let's go ahead, go with the quick recap. Just a few weeks ago, none of these teams would have been on anybody's radar to make the tournament. Arkansas, IU, and UNC have all picked up big wins, though, or at least wins in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Arkansas's beat Missouri and Texas. IU's beat Purdue and Michigan State. UNC has won 5 of the last 6 games. And somehow, some way, CBS and ESPN have both put them either in the tournament or on the bubble right
Yeah.
outside. If you had to pick one of these three teams, you have to pick one of them. Who is it to get at least one tournament win?
Okay, I'm saying this now. North Carolina is not a tournament team.
Yes.
Not. I don't care if they win every game the rest of the year. They're playing no one. No
Yep.
offense to the ACC. They're not a tournament team.
Yep.
But I'm going with the tough play. I'm going to say
Okay.
Indiana.
Okay.
And I'm
Okay.
strictly going Indiana because at this point they're playing with house money.
Yeah.
Like they literally have nothing to lose. Like it's kind of been a below expectation season, as is almost every Indiana
Every.
season.
Uh-huh.
Their coach is on the way out, so like I guess if they have any ties at all to Woodson, like I guess they're playing for him a little bit. So like
Yeah.
if I'm having to put anything on any of them, just Indiana, sure, why not? They clearly
Yeah.
have shown they can play with some of the big boys, and
Mhm.
they got nothing to lose.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we both definitely agree that UNC should not even be near the tournament. 1-11 against quad one teams. Like it
Just
just makes no sense at
gross.
all. I'll go with the easy pick here with Arkansas just because they've been playing a little bit better as of late. If you guys go back to the game where Coach Cal had to go back to Big Blue Nation, they were nowhere near the tournament. Since that game when they beat Kentucky, they were 5-3 with two ranked wins and two other wins against Texas. Their only losses in that stretch have been single-digit losses to Auburn, Alabama, and Texas A&M. So I think Calipari has them going in the right direction right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick Arkansas, but IU does have, I think it's seven quad one and quad two game wins. So they at least put up more than what North Carolina has done.
Yep.
Absolutely terrible North Carolina team. So I definitely go Arkansas in this one, IU second, then UNC. But I mean, I don't think it should be. I think maybe one of these teams should get it, not two or three of these. So
I'll be honest with you. If you took away the name from North Carolina, that's a
mhm.
team no one's talking about.
Yeah, not at all. Not
Like
at
not
all.
even no one cares about that team even remotely like
Mhm.
at all. Like if you put that record on Cincinnati, no
Yeah.
one talks about it.
Yeah. And I'm gonna look it up right now just because we are talking about them. Who is their one quad one win? It's Dayton. Dayton from their fifth game of the
I just
season
say
is
all the
their
way back, I
yeah.
just say
Yeah.
the fact that they're in and SMU is out is just shows you
Uh,
everything.
yeah.
SMU is I actually that's probably if I had to make the biggest complaint right now, SMU not being in, it's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah. Very talented team too. All right, let's move it on to the worryometer. Sorry, Bob, I still cannot find my worryometers. We're going to have Jordan definitely show his. But we're going to start with Bob's favorite team, the one that made the worryometer for us. They've lost four in a row. That is Purdue. Where are they on your scale of 1 to 10 on the worryometer?
Well, if anyone paid attention, I already kind of precursored mine. I got
Okay.
them at a seven.
Okay. A
Got a little
seven.
glare. Going with seven, that's worried.
Hmm.
And I'm going to say worried because the end of the day, the tournament is about who has guard play, who has good coaching. Conveniently, they have both. They've had a little bit of a rough stretch here, but quite frankly, I don't think they're getting worse than a 5 seed. So they're probably in a decent spot to at least make a Sweet 16 run. Again, below expectation for them, but anything is possible in March.
I put it up as an 8, so it's a lot worried is what I
Okay.
have.
Okay.
And
Fair.
it's not necessarily that I'm worried for their next few conference games. They should win those games. They're gonna be favored in all of them.
Yeah.
But it's more that I'm a lot worried because of their chances to do anything in the next two tournaments that they're going to be playing in. I just
Okay.
think this is something that has been figured out with Painter every year that he doesn't have Edie or Robbie Hummel, is that he just doesn't adjust. He goes with this game plan. He doesn't change it, and it's very clear teams have figured out how to guard the high ball screen. They just
Yeah.
basically jump Braden Smith off the screen so he can't give it to Ren in the middle and he can't turn. And they just haven't adjusted to it. And their defense is still just putrid. It is just so bad right now. So I'm at an 8. I'm not worried about them the rest of the regular season, but I am worried about them come March when we got the Big Ten tournament and the March Madness. So.
Fair.
All right, next up, we go to the Mountain West. New Mexico, they've lost back-to-back road games at Boise State and at San Diego State. Where do you got them on your barometer?
An easy one. Got them at 3.
Okay.
3 is just a little worried. And the reason I say a little worried, I'm thinking future stretch here. They played a rate of speed that is similar to what Alabama did
Yeah.
last year. Okay.
Mhm.
So when you think about that, that opens them up for stints like this, but that also opens them up to make a tremendous run if needed. They're a team I'm really curious what happens come Selection Sunday. I'm worried they're going to get the real shaft and get like a 7-10
Yeah.
matchup where they can win their first round matchup, no
Mhm.
problem. But the second game, they're basically getting a game they probably should have gotten the next round if they were being appropriately seeded.
Mhm.
Otherwise, though, I'm a little worried with them just because of what we saw last year with Alabama and the pace of play that they have. Otherwise, though, I actually have a lot of confidence in this team.
I also have a 3, and it's for multiple reasons. Those two losses in a year, those are not bad losses. It's just that the committee doesn't like the Mountain West right now, so I think that it is going to bump them down a little bit in their seeding just because they lost to Boise State and San Diego State, who are both bubble teams. But I haven't really bought into their defense at all this season, so I think their record was a little fluky going into these games. So I think the record's more representative of how talented I think they actually are. Instead of 23-4, they're 23-6 now. I think that represents them a little bit better. Their best wins all season are against UCLA and VCU, both very defensive teams.
Yeah.
And as you said, this team loves to run and play offense. So I'm a little worried about New Mexico if they get put up against a really good offensive team come March. So I'm a little worried that they might get upset based on their low seed and having to play a more offensive tempo team. But I still think they're easily in the tournament. Not worried about them, but I think matchups will really matter come March Madness.
I think as long as they can avoid Alabama, Kentucky, and I kind of Florida, but not really. I mean, the chances of them getting in those are probably pretty high
Yeah.
because those 3 teams are going to be in that stretch. But essentially, if they can avoid anyone in that quadrant that can play a little bit of offense, they honestly should be fine through the Sweet 16. But again, just you never, if they, I could see them getting like North Texas,
Yeah.
who just like slows it
I was
down,
about to
right?
say the slow.
And they just get out of rhythm maybe, but otherwise, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
A team I could see them lining up, let's say it's like if this team stays hot, New Mexico gets like a 6, BYU gets like an 8 or a 9. I could see like a BYU giving them fits because they're like a 10th best offense in the nation and they love to run. So I think they could play up tempo with them. So just a
Yeah,
team like
that's a
that.
fair one. That's a fair
Yeah.
assessment.
All right, last one here on the Worryometer, a team that we have talked about, I think, about every podcast so far this season. Texas A&M, they've lost 3 straight. Where do they fall on your Worryometer?
I'm at an 11 and beyond because I've said this so many times on this show. I don't know what to think of them.
Yeah,
Therefore, I'm always in a state of panic. We have extremely worried. No, I'm never extremely worried about them. I'm always in an extreme state of panic. I have no
yeah,
clue what to do with them.
yeah. I had it as a 9. I probably should have done what you did and just put it off at
Like
11,
it's
but
just
Yeah, this 3 game losing streak almost certainly will be a 5 game losing streak. They play at Florida and then Auburn the next 2 games, so this is
Yeah,
almost certainly a 5 game losing streak. And I think it's honestly what we've been previewing the whole season.
yep,
This we just thought this would come earlier in the season. Their inconsistencies before they fouled literally 20 times in the last 3 minutes. That's not a joke. They had 20 fouls in the last 3 minutes of the Vanderbilt game. They were on pace for their fifth straight game or sixth straight game of less than 70 points. That's always been their Achilles heel is not scoring. They were doing a little bit better than that when they were winning. Now their offense is falling apart. They don't have a go-to guy outside of their point guard. So I'm not touching them with a 10-foot pole probably the rest of the way because they're going to have these 2 incredibly hard matchups coming up here. Probably going to get a bad seed, like a bad second
yeah,
round matchup. So I'm not touching them. And I'm going to be really worried come NCAA tournament time because they're going to fall to like a 5 or 6 seed. I see at this point.
yeah. I'm gonna give a little preview, a little foreshadowing. I've been doing a lot of thinking of how I'm going to approach our bracket episode, best episode of the year. And at Texas A&M as a team, I think I'm going to have to take out early, unfortunately, because of what you just said.
Mhm.
Realistically, unless you're a top 15 defense, you have to be able to score the basketball
Mhm.
at a top 25 pace.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you are in trouble when you get
Mhm.
deeper into the tournament. And that's exactly what they are. They're like a primo, gonna get upset first round, gonna get a decent seed, and they've been pushed way too high, quite frankly. To me, they're like the perfect 5 seed. They've been getting slotted in that three. This losing
Mhm.
streak will probably do it for them. They're gonna have to do something in the SEC tournament to probably regain a little bit of that. But like this is the type of team, like you look at them, you go, yep, if they play a Yale, for example,
Mhm.
who is very talented, gets very little publicity, not shocked if Yale beats them and beats them fairly easy, right?
Yeah.
Or if you get my guy, UC Irvine, they if they sneak in as not a conference champion,
Mhm.
that's a potential team they're gonna have to play. UC Irvine will eat them to death.
Yeah, just to put some like notes on how long it's been since they've scored over 75 points. Their last time they scored, of course, it was against Alabama. Of course it was. It was back in January 11th, the last time they scored more than 75 points. So they just don't put the ball in the bucket anymore. So,
Yeah, not good.
all right, let's move it on to okay, 2 teams that I feel like one team we've talked about a decent amount, the other one we haven't. But
Yeah.
I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, both of these teams were on the bubble. That is BYU and Oregon. BYU has won 5 in a row, including wins over Kansas and a
Mhm.
controversial win against Arizona over the
Arizona.
weekend. Oregon has won 4 in a row. They beat Wisconsin in Wisconsin. Of these 2 teams that are clearly well in now, they're just trying to improve their seeds. Who do you have more faith in, BYU or Oregon?
So I think the trick here is that everyone hears those two names and they think BYU because they're the hot team right now. They're the team everyone's going to probably try to latch on here in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and say, oh, they can maybe make a Sweet 16. They're not. They're fluff. They're not tough. They're not physical. I don't like them at all. I'm going to go with Oregon. And Oregon's in a team you talked about. We've not really talked about. They've been in the shadow of the Big Ten. But let us not forget history, because if you forget history, it will repeat itself. Oregon was a team we talked about. They were top 10 ranking after the initial kind of tourney run to start the season.
Yeah.
Look to that early season success. They had some injuries. They've had some issues with illness, which wouldn't you think that when you're traveling like 10,000
Yeah.
miles in a season?
Uh-huh.
I like Oregon to kind of show up as a sneaky team come tournament time and kind of surprise some people because they're a very good basketball team. As long as they can maybe stay in the West, they probably have a decent advantage. I don't know why they wouldn't stay in the West for the most part. So I'm going to take Oregon as the team that I have more faith in just because I think too many people are going to jump on the BYU bandwagon and March Madness is going to do its madness piece for us all.
So I might be falling right into the trap you're saying because
Okay, that's
I'm in
fair.
on BYU right now. I am all in on BYU. They beat my team, Arizona, in Arizona, and so that completely switched me. But I will give credit to Oregon. They have 9 quad 1 wins. That's more than Duke. That's more than Michigan State. They have a lot
Yep.
of quad 1 wins, but again, almost all of those, besides for the Wisconsin game, came uh, before January because they had really good success to start the year against Texas A&M, San Diego State, Alabama, and USC at the time was a quad 1 win as well.
Yep.
But right now, BYU in their last 4 games, they're averaging 90 points. If they take down Iowa State next week on, I think it's like Tuesday, oh man, I'm all in on
That's
BYU. So
That's going to
right
be
now,
tough.
I'm
Yeah,
taking them.
that'll be tough. If they can
Yeah,
do that, they are going to
yeah.
be trending very high in the correct direction.
You know, they're a fun team to watch right now. When offenses are shooting over 50%, scoring 90 points per game, it's just
Yeah,
like gotta watch it.
yeah, that's fair.
All right, time for our seeds. One and two seeds. Who do you got as your one and your two seeds?
Okay, I'm gonna just be flat out. I'm gonna shock the world with these seeds.
Okay.
I went into the lab. I did my own evaluation.
Okay.
I didn't like what ESPN was doing. I didn't like what we have in the top 10 as far as rankings. So
Okay.
I did my own analysis here. One is going to be, I mean, I feel like it's kind of, the teams are going to kind of be there, but I still think I'll shock some people.
Okay. Okay.
So in no particular order, one, it's going to be Auburn, Duke, Tennessee, Houston.
Okay.
My
Okay.
two seeds are going to be Florida, Alabama, Michigan State, and Texas Tech.
Okay. Okay. We have one different, honestly. Isn't that
Oh,
why? Yeah.
really? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought for
We
sure I was going to
yeah.
shock you with mine.
Like we have seven of the eight same teams. Orders a little, or like the ones and twos a little different. But I
Okay.
have as my ones, I have Auburn, Duke, Houston, Alabama, and then my two, I have Florida, Tennessee, Michigan State, and then I literally my notes say Iowa State slightly over Texas Tech. So I took
Okay.
Iowa State over Texas Tech for
It's
my
fair.
last two seed.
Where I actually think it gets really interesting is when you jump into the three line because that
Hmm.
is where it
Yeah.
starts to get very stacked. I actually probably I did a three line and I'm going to throw it out there for everyone. I probably spent 20 minutes looking at these teams because
Okay.
you are just like you're trimming hairs and you have to
Yeah.
decide what are you going to put your stick in the sand on here. So for the three seed,
Okay.
and this is going to be I part of this three is honestly where I think they're going to end up, not where they're currently sitting.
Hmm.
And I'm going to lead with that right off the top with Wisconsin. I think
Okay.
Wisconsin is going to end the season well, do well in the tournament with the Big Ten, get a three seed. Iowa State, I think there's
Mhm.
too many teams in the Big 12. They're in a weird spot. I think they might falter a little bit and fall to the three right now. Julian already has them at two. St. Mary's, how are they slotted where they are? If this team had Gonzaga next to it, and
Yep.
they're in the same damn conference, they'd be talking
Yep.
about this team being a two seed,
I looked
right?
up the national title odds just for all the teams, just looking at it. I think it was Gonzaga was plus 800 and St. Mary's was plus 1800. It's like that
Yeah.
just makes no damn sense at all.
Yeah. And the thing I'm going to lean on here, they're 8-1 on the road.
Yep. Hmm.
No team has more road wins than them except for Houston and Duke.
Yep. Hmm.
And then on top of that, they're 4-2 in quad one, which you can say that's not a lot. All that had to basically be non-conference for them.
Hmm.
They
Yep.
played tough teams, 4-2. I can live with that. And they beat the teams that you're supposed to beat, 10-0 against quad four teams. So I
Yep.
don't understand how they're I think when I looked last time, Lenardi's got them back at like a six. I'm like, that's the
Hmm.
dumbest thing
That's
I've ever
ex
seen in my life.
yeah.
And then this is where it gets interesting for me. I would be fine if you told me Arizona or St. John's is the last three seed
Hmm.
because they basically have the exact same resume. It just kind of depends on what you want to sit on here.
Yep.
So Arizona 6-3 on the road, St. John's 7-2. You go to quad one, St. John's is 3-4, Arizona 7-8. And then in neutral site games, 1-2 for St. John's, Arizona 1-3. The real kicker for me, where I was like, is the quad two range here? Arizona 3-1. St. John's takes care of business. They're 9-0.
Yep. Hmm.
Like so, I would be fine with either one, but that's where I think it gets a little bit tricky.
Hmm.
And then again, you'll notice I didn't even cover teams like Missouri, Kentucky, Maryland, uh, Purdue, Texas
Hmm.
A&M. Like there is a hodgepodge of teams there. They're gonna have to really figure themselves out the next 3 weeks. And the 5-12 matchups are going to be absolutely
Yeah.
banana lands this year. I'm just saying it now. Those might honestly be some of the best games you see because it's going to be a bunch of teams that we've talked about that no one watches, and a
Hmm.
bunch of probably like big name teams. Like again, a Kentucky could end up on a five.
Yep.
It's gonna be wild. I can't wait.
Yep. I know, like you kind of like stole it there right at the end, but it's going to be so crazy for those that haven't followed college basketball season. I know this is a product of the major conferences just getting huge and stacked,
Yeah, yeah,
but you're going to see three, four, and five seeds have at least 10, if not more, losses. And then you're going to have these 12, 13, 14 seeds that have like six losses or less. And so you're gonna be like, well, I've seen this team lose double digits times this year. I haven't really watched this other team, but they rank well in KenPom. It's just weird to see three seeds. Like half the teams that you named as a three seed, they're going to have double digit losses by the
Oh,
end of this
100%.
year, which is just nuts.
100%.
So
Like the other thing I want to talk about while we're on this, and it's not on the list here, um, Gonzaga.
yeah,
We actually do need to talk about them.
okay.
They're top 10 in net in KenPom. They're top 10 in net. They're currently trending down as a nine seed.
Mhm.
A nine seed. And you'll never guess who they have them playing currently. It's Joe Lenardi.
Who they got?
They got them playing our beloved Auburn.
Oh my
The number one
goodness.
overall seed
Yeah.
would get a team that's ranked in the top
Yeah.
10 in basically both major ranking systems.
I
And
would
they're a
love
team
to.
I've told you, I've said this multiple times. When you watch them play, they have the capability of being a top three team in the country.
Mhm.
There's just something like they don't have that kill switch yet.
Yeah.
And if they find it in the tournament, mother of God.
I need to know how the net does their system though. How does a team that's 2-6 in quad one,
Yeah,
five
I
and
don't.
two in
Yeah,
quad two, so
yeah,
that gives them seven quad one and two wins, and eight quad one and two losses, and they have 22 wins overall. Half of them are against quad four teams. So
yeah.
what are they using to
Yeah,
get this net
that was my
ranking?
only thing with the net. I was very confused, but I was like, I was with them until I saw that, and I'm like, I'm starting to think they just threw a mid major in there to be like, oh, this is
Yeah,
great, or whatever you
yeah,
want to call them now. I don't know if Gonzaga is not really a mid major, but
yeah.
they are. Um, but yeah, possible 5-12 matchups by the way right now. We have Oregon Drake. I will take Drake
Ooh,
probably
that will
every
be a
time.
sexy game if that
We
happens.
have Clemson, UC San Diego.
Oh,
UC
okay.
San Diego is getting my play on that one.
Yeah. Mhm.
Missouri McNeese State.
Oh, sign me up for that. That'll be a shootout.
McNeese
First to
State.
100.
Like legitimately, I right now, gun to my head, I might take all three 12 seeds at this point. And then the last one, which I kind of already referenced, you could have Maryland playing Yale.
Oh
Ima-
my gosh. Dude, that would
Imagine
be,
those.
yeah.
Imagine those five. Like
Yeah.
those are banana land 5-12
Uh-huh.
matchups.
Those are like teams that almost any matchup you would think those teams have a chance to get upset, but then you put them against like the best mid-major schools or low major schools. It's like that would be so fun to watch those. All right, let's move it to the next segment where we're going to pick either two or three teams right now that we would auto put in the Sweet 16 outside of the favorites list. So we're not going to take like the ones and twos that we just talked about, maybe
Yep.
not even the threes. I didn't pick anybody above currently ranked as a above a six seed, so all mine are six seeds or lower.
Okay.
Do you want to give out your first one first?
Okay. So I did send this to you, and I sent
Okay.
to you for a very specific reason, for a very
Okay.
specific team. And then I see where Joe Lenardi has them, and I instantly was like, oh shit. I will foreshadow momentarily with that. We can
Okay.
settle it later in the episode. But right
Okay.
now, the first team I have is Maryland and the Crab Five.
Okay.
All right. That
Yeah.
team, when you look at just their top five players, I
Yeah.
think they're a top 10 team in the country
Yeah.
with
I
just their
agree.
top five, right? And when you
Hmm.
get into tournaments are much different than seasons. We saw Jay Wright do it. He won two national titles, basically only playing five or six guys twice. Like I said, twice. Maryland's in that realm. Like they play six, but they only need like they have five, right? Like
Hmm.
Maryland is a dangerous team to me. But again, I'm gonna preface this. Right now, if this were an actual a
Uh-huh.
real bracket,
Hmm.
Maryland would play Yale at Providence and then have to either play St. John's
Oh
or
my
High
goodness.
Point.
So two road games, kind of.
Essentially, you're playing on the road
Yeah.
against Yale and St. John's.
Uh-huh.
And like that's how is
Yeah.
really all I had to say. But otherwise, I'm like, I think they're like a push through to the
Yeah.
Sweet 16 because I don't think they're gonna really play anyone else that has a better top five than they do.
Yeah. And that Derek Queen, he is so impressive. He is. If Cooper Flag wasn't playing and getting all of the freshman
Oh yeah,
accolades, Derek
100%.
Queen would be like on ESPN every single time he plays.
Yeah, great
So
player.
this one, you basically already talked everything about them, but they currently are a six seed. That's St. Mary's. I can't believe they're being projected as a six seed right now. They're tall, they're a veteran team. Their style play is very disciplined, slow, but they're insanely efficient. One of the slowest teams in the nation, yet they're super efficient on both ends of the ball. I'm pulling up their efficiency right now. 37th in offense, 10th in defense. when you have that with veteran leadership at guards, and you have a very tall team, I love it. They've completely shut down a top 10 offense that we just talked about in Gonzaga in both of their wins. I love this team to make it to the Sweet 16, if not further. And right now, you can get them to make it to the Final Four at plus 1,700. I think that's not a bad play at all. If I
That's
was
not
even going to go a little
bad.
further.
That's not terrible. All right. I only have one more team.
Okay.
And I will say I'm not in love with this team, but it's a team where I sit there, I go, okay, let's think about this. Every year we come out and there's a conference like the SEC that has a ton of teams that are getting a ton of attention. And then the one team no one thinks about is
Hmm.
a team that somehow comes through, finds himself in like an Elite Eight or something. And
Uh-huh.
everyone's like, where'd they come from?
Yeah.
For me, I'm hooking to that because I think that's gonna happen. And I'm gonna go with Ole Miss.
Okay.
They have a top five coach in the country, as much as he's a terrible person, potentially, allegedly.
Yeah. Allegedly.
They play in a great conference. They have nine losses. All nine losses are quad one. Okay, that means they're, I'm guessing a little bit here, but all within the SEC. I know
Mhm.
half of those are against potential number one seeds right now. They're not going to be playing a number one seed in the first two games.
Yeah.
And what I just tell you at the top of the hour here, you have to have good guard play. You have to have good coaching. They have both. They have, again, tremendous coaching. I think that they're a team not shocked if they make the Sweet 16 as a quote unquote surprise, but you heard it here first.
Yeah. So I looked hard for like what SEC team did I want to pick. I was like, I went back and forth. I couldn't land on one, so I went kind of outside the box here with I think the most under talked about team in the nation, and that is Louisville. They've only lost one game since December 14th. They have 11 quad one or two wins, and their only loss, and all of their losses besides one have been against surefire tournament teams. They have a top 26 offense and defense, and I know everyone knows the ACC is down, but their overall strength of schedule is 51st. So it's not like they've been putting up this good
Yeah.
record against nobodies. They're 22-6. They're going to keep improving that record until they run into Duke in the ACC tournament. So I'm going to go with Louisville right now. I think that they're way under the radar. Everyone still thinks, man, they haven't been good in like 5 years. So I'm going to take Louisville here.
I'm not shitting you right now. I was between Ole Miss and Louisville, and I decided
Okay.
that Ole Miss had the better coach.
Okay. Yeah,
Because
that's probably it. Yeah.
both of them are consistently ranking in the top 30 across all like analytical or metric based
Uh-huh.
rankings. Like that matters. And
Yeah.
Louisville is tremendously coached, but I just think Chris Beard is a better coach.
Yeah.
But I just think it's funny that you landed there, and I was like,
Yeah.
I really was tossing between the two.
Uh-huh. And I do have one more just because I wanted to like just calm everyone down on this team. I know I've talked a lot about them recently. They're going to end up being like a 5 or 6 seed because they play such a hard schedule the remainder of the way. But I'm going to still not bail on Arizona. Yes, they've lost 3 of 5. They've lost all those games though. Those 3 of the 5 games by 4 points or less. They've all been one or two possessions right down to the wire. I'm not going to forget they beat BYU, West Virginia, Cincinnati, and Ohio State just maybe
Mhm.
half a month ago. So I'm
Yeah.
not bailing on them. They sit as a 5 seed right now. I don't think it's a super long shot that they could like do some big things in the Big 12 tourney to improve the seeding, but they do have a hard schedule the rest of the way. If they get bounced early, they might fall to like a 6 or 7, but I'm still going to ride with that good offense. And I mean, they got a top 20 defense currently in Ken Palm too. So
Yeah. Well, obviously, I believe in them because I have them as a French three seed, which is
yeah,
why I also did not make them a
yeah,
part of my list here. But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
if you wanted to just went down the line here, like just teams that I know towards the top, but not like the one and twos, like right out
Mhm.
the gate, Wisconsin and Arizona were two teams I thought of, but I was like,
Yeah,
they're a little too high to say like, oh yeah, they'll make the Sweet 16. Everyone be like, well, yeah, no
yeah.
doubt they'll make the Sweet 16.
Yeah. And man, if you think about back in December when those two teams played, Wisconsin ran Arizona out of the gym by like 30. I think it was like
Yeah.
101 to 70 something. So,
Yeah. I think one team that we should reference, and I thought about putting them on this question or segment, but I feel like they're ranked a little too high now. But again, no one talks about them is Missouri.
yep, I
Missouri
have,
is
yep.
a
Hmm.
tremendous team,
Yep.
tremendous. And I feel like because it's Missouri,
Hmm.
the casual's going to show up and be like, what in the world? But like, they're the team I could see people just auto saying they lose their first round game as their quote unquote upset
Hmm.
because they think it's like, oh, well, it's just because they're in the SEC, they're not good.
Yep.
Tremendous team.
That was the SEC team I was debating, but I went with Louisville because I just couldn't
Yeah.
like pinpoint one SEC team. So, All right, let's quickly give a record update. If you have yours, do you have your record update?
You of course should ask me. I just put it in the. Yeah, I'll have it. Go ahead.
Okay, so I am 309, 271, and 6. If you guys have been paying attention, that record was a lot worse than like yesterday before I went 8-1. So I'm at a 53.24% right now. So 309, 271, and 6.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now, Kyle's up on me by about a 0.5% now, so good for him. Year to date though, 159, 142, and 4. And
Okay,
that record may be better because I do had 3 plays on Thursday night that have not wrapped up yet.
perfect. All right, let's go into again another loaded weekend. I only picked, I think it's like 6 games. I could have picked at
A
least 15,
bajillion.
so make sure you check our Twitter because there will be so many more picks than this. But Friday night, we have to talk about this team and see if they can get off the mat. Purdue at home against UCLA. Who do you like in this matchup?
I'm actually going to go with the Cronin effect here and just take UCLA. I don't see Purdue. UCLA is the wrong team for them to get it going again. I haven't looked at their schedule. I'm assuming they're doing maybe the usual West Coast trip where they're going to play USC also. I will take them to take USC out, but Cronin's too good of a coach, I think, to let them just come in and wipe the floor with them. So I'll take UCLA.
All right, I'm going to take Purdue here. I'm just because the style. I don't think. Yes, you said like great at defense, but I don't think they can like get up by like close to double digits or double digits on Purdue like the last few
Yeah.
teams have. So I'll take Purdue with the talent here. It's the last big game for Purdue of the season. Their next few matchups are pretty easy on paper. It won't really help their seeding, so I think they bounce back here. All right, Saturday is an absolutely beautiful day in the SEC. We start with number one Auburn at number 17 Kentucky. I can't pick against Auburn unless it's against a top one or two seed in this like the rest of the way. They're just so good right now. I'm going
Yeah.
to take them. They're only favored by 3 right now in Ken Palm. They're going to get their 27th win here at Kentucky, and we're not even like we're barely in the March, and they're going to have 27 wins.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the more desperate team. I'm gonna go with Kentucky. I think
Okay.
they need this way more. And Auburn, Pearl, seeing what happened to his team last year, I actually think he understands where they're at. He's not gonna push the throttle because he has no reason to push the throttle. I think he's prepping for a deep run. So we might see a little bit more rotation coming into this game if it starts to not go their way. And so I'll take Kentucky, who again can score tremendously. Their
Mhm.
defense is very suspect,
Yeah.
but they will keep up with Auburn for at least the first 40 or not 40, the first trying to do the math now, 30 minutes.
Mhm.
And usually Auburn's defense is where they would start to kind of eat at Kentucky a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'll still take Kentucky at home.
And guys, you're gonna have to just book Saturday completely, like for basketball, because this game starts at 1, and we go all the way through the
Just
night
keeps
of good
going. Yeah.
games. So,
Yeah.
next one up, number 6 Alabama at number 5 Tennessee. Who do you like in this top 6 matchup?
Yeah, so I told you guys I was kind of foreshadowing a little bit of what I like here, and I'm going to take the team that can actually get a bucket,
Okay.
regardless of what happens here. So I'll take Alabama. Tennessee, great team at home. I know they're going to be really pumped up for this game, but when you don't put the ball in the hole at a highly efficient rate, you don't win the game. I don't care how good your defense is. And we just saw what Alabama did to Mississippi State, who I think is a tremendous defense by putting up 111, by the way. That was an insane amount of
Yeah.
points.
Uh-huh.
Alabama is cruising right now with that offense, so I will take them to take out Tennessee.
So for those that have listened to the pod for a while, we used to like do picks against each other, and that would be the only way that we like track our records. This would have been a great one because we're just completely not agreeing on any of these picks right now. But
Yeah,
I'm going to go with Tennessee, even though Alabama's bounced back with those 2 big wins over Kentucky and Mississippi State and blowouts. Those were at home. They were a different team on the road. Tennessee 6-1 in their last 7 with wins over Florida, Missouri, Texas A&M. Their only loss at home all season was to Kentucky, but they were without 2 of their starters.
yeah.
And Alabama hasn't beat Tennessee since 2022, so I'll take the Vols to take down Bama.
You making that comment just made me chuckle because I'm sitting there thinking we've been so alike for the last like season and a half that we've done
Uh-huh.
this podcast. Everyone's probably like,
Yeah.
"What is happening?"
Uh-huh. Because
The
even
wheels are
like
falling off. They disagree on everything
yeah,
now.
yeah, even at the beginning, like we were picking different ones for like our review section
Yeah,
too. So. All right, I think we'll both agree on this one then. Number
yeah,
12, Texas A&M at
yep,
number 3, Florida. I think this one might be a rout. A&M is reeling. They're struggling to score. Florida doesn't. Florida's fully healthy now. The big man came back last game. I can see this being Florida by double digits, so I'll take
yeah.
Florida.
Yeah. Florida actually, surprisingly, if people haven't been tracking, is finally getting healthy.
Yeah, uh-huh.
As you
Yeah.
referenced, they're the scariest team in the country when it comes to the tournament. 100% taking Florida. and be on the lookout for them. I'm curious to see how they play this game with everyone kind of slowly coming back,
Yeah.
and what their form looks like for the SEC tournament.
All right. We'll move to Sunday. Another good slate of games here. We got number 11 Wisconsin at number 8 Michigan State. Basically decides the Big Ten here. Like if Michigan State wins this, basically give it to them. What do you think goes?
Well, I'm going to say this: the Crab Five let me down.
Yeah.
If Wisconsin doesn't beat Michigan State, I might have to put my money where my mouth is.
Uh-huh.
Because I think if we run it back, I think I said I'd have them going all the way to the championship or at least the Final Four. We'll have to run the tape back. But by God, if at this point, if you can't beat them, join them. So
Yeah.
I'm going with Izzo and Michigan State.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't bet against them. I mean, I actually had them on the money line last night when they hit the half court shot. For a
Yeah.
guy that literally turned it over 3 times in the last 2 minutes of the game, and then he
Yeah.
gets the rebound and hits a half court shot. I can't bet against Izzo right now. He's doing Izzo things. They're heating up
Yeah.
at the perfect time.
Yep. We know what it is. It goes January, February, Izzo, April,
Yeah.
etc.
Last one for this until our if you have any other picks.
Yeah.
A little bit of a off the radar game. Number 18 Memphis at UAB. Who do you like in this matchup?
Yeah, I will never trust Memphis ever. They've been a team, they've almost been like a mini Kansas to me, where like since the beginning of this pod, for whatever reason, I just don't trust them ever with
Mhm.
anything. They probably scorned me at some point early in the pod of when we started this. So I'm gonna go UAB. I'm gonna trust your instincts from the very beginning of the year. I actually though, fun fact, UAB, I think I played against them either tonight or there's a game later. I'll
Yeah,
have to look
tonight.
again.
It was tonight,
Tonight.
Wichita
Okay.
State. Yep.
Yeah, they're looking ahead, I think, for this Memphis game. I think they get beat tonight though at Wichita. So I'll take UAB though on Saturday or
Yep. So
Sunday.
this my pick for here, Memphis at UAB, completely relies on what happened Thursday. So you guys listen to
Okay.
this, you'll know this already. You'll know if Wichita beat UAB. I also picked Wichita, so I think they're going to beat UAB. So for the pick, I'm taking Memphis. But if UAB beats Wichita State on the road, I'm switching. I'm going UAB on Sunday
Okay.
because they're desperate. They have to win their conference tournament. This will actually get them into the 1 seed if they beat Memphis, and that place will be rocking. It's their last home game of the season. I think UAB, if they can beat Wichita, can beat Memphis here, and that'll really shock me because I gave up on them about a month into our
Yeah.
pick. So,
Yeah, you did. You dipped out on that train
yeah,
so fast.
and I will say in Ken Palm, they're still ranked outside the top
Yeah,
100.
they're still not a
So,
great team. Let's
yeah,
not get things
yeah.
confused here.
All right, quickly, any other picks?
I have no leans, but I do have a special announcement, so I'll let you go first. I don't want to ruin it.
Right, just one lean here. It's because I always like this team, and they're getting hot at the right time. Xavier, they play Creighton at home, like so. It's at Xavier. They're hot right now. They could sneak their way through the bubble. Creighton kind of wishy-washy after that hot January, so I'm going to take Xavier as an underdog at home.
Okay. You've inspired me with your
Okay,
Arizona play. So
okay.
I myself have placed a new Final Four future on a specific team not named Arizona for anyone that thought I was about to say that. It's a little scary, which I like. I like a little bit of scariness, but I also think it would be absolutely electric, and I would be so excited because the cream would be so thick. Wink, wink for anybody. St. John's.
Yeah.
I got them. They were the best
Okay.
play I could think of for value. And if you know the Rick
Love it.
Pitino jokes, you'll know where the cream
Yep.
joke went.
Uh-huh.
Rick Pitino, Alamo Dome, San Antonio, Final
That would
Four.
be.
That would be electric.
Yeah, that
So I
would be.
have
It would
new
be.
Final Four future St. John's.
Yep, love it. Absolutely love it. Well, go check us out on Twitter. He's at Mingo Made One. I'm at Kyle Cliffy. We'll be giving so many picks over these next 2 weeks or 3 weeks leading into Selection Sunday. Again, we won't be back next week because I am out, but we will be posting picks every single night, and we'll be back on Conference Championship Week with a special guest, Jay Hux.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Love you guys.